Well, hello, everybody. My name is Ken Abrams. I am the lifestyle editor at What's Up Noop. Good to see you. We have a special What's Up Noop live this afternoon. And we are going to be joined by a couple of local jazz artists who have just put out a great new CD. The CD is called Christmas Is December Duets. So it's a very seasonal release for these two guys. We're talking about Mike Renzi and Jim Porcella, who will be joining us shortly. Here's the CD. There we go. Get it in there for you. And what's cool about this is that it has been put out by a local label, Whaling City Sounds, out of New Bedford, which does a lot of sort of boutique jazz releases, has put this out. We're real excited about this. And I believe we have Jim waiting in the wings. There's Jim.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Jim. I know Mike is trying to get in. We always have these technical issues. And I just got a text that he's working on it. So we'll do our best to get Mike to join us. Congratulations, Jim, on the CD. It's getting some great, I'd say, attention nationally. In fact, I have my issue of Downbeat here with George Benson on the cover. And you guys are in the Christmas holiday gift guide section, which is great. You don't see a lot of attention. This is a big national publication for those of you who don't know Downbeat. So congrats on that. It gets a nice little review, and it mentions that the album is put out by Rhode Islanders, which is always great to see. So congrats on that.
Yeah, thanks.
Let me ask you maybe if you could tell us a little bit about how the album came together. I know you guys recorded it over the summer, but if you give us a little background on that, that would be great.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it. Well, I did another CD with Mike, and when I finished that up, the recording engineer, who's actually the producer of this album, Steve Rizzo, who has a great recording studio in Middletown called Stable Sound. Steve and Mike and I are all friends, and Steve thought it would be a great idea to do a Christmas album, just the two of us, and it kind of went from there.
Great. Now, how does it, I mean, I know you guys were sort of collaborating on this album. How does it work on, say, song selection? Do you sort of have input on that, or do you work on that together? How do you go about choosing the songs?
We, Mike and I just sat around and thought of different tunes that we like. Basically, it was pretty simple. And I was at his house, and we ran some of them down on the piano, only to find out that some didn't work at all, you know. So it was a process of elimination, but we finally came up with tunes that we felt comfortable with.
That's great. One of the things that I've always noticed is, jazz music, and I know this has a sort of a jazz pop feel, but it's a jazz label and it definitely has jazz underpinnings. One of the things I've noticed is that jazz becomes very popular around this time of year. And you think of, in fact, one of the greatest selling jazz albums of all time is the Charlie Brown Christmas. What is it about the relationship, do you think, between jazz and the holiday season? Is there something special about the genre? Maybe it's just me that sort of sees the connection, but there's definitely something unique there.
Well, that's a good question. I don't have a good answer, but I think if I was to just wing it, jazz can be, and usually is most of the time, a very kind of human expression. There's a lot of warmth there. There's a lot of vulnerability. And around the holidays, I think those things probably are more apparent with people in general. So that could be an answer. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't either. It's an observation that I've sort of made. And, if you look at a lot of the music and a lot of the jazz artists, some of their best-selling work is around the holiday season. So it's just, I guess, an observation, but hey, we'll take it. Those of us who appreciate jazz definitely will take it. A little more about the album itself. What goes into, I mean, many of the songs that are on here, we would call them timeless classics as I look. The Christmas song, Blue Christmas, Elvis made that famous, of course. Winter Wonderland. How do you go about interpreting these songs? Are you going for a sort of a totally unique approach, or are you going to be influenced by others who came before you?
Well, I think we're always, at least I am, I can only speak for myself, somewhat influenced by everything around me. And, if a tune is done by somebody, it's never a conscious intention to sound like somebody. but some of that stuff does come through. Although I didn't hear any Elvis Presley come through when I sang for Christmas. So, but I was a big fan of Mel Torme's, and I can hear that sometimes in some of my stuff, especially the Christmas song on this album. But it's all cool.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's good to have. I think you have some on here that are quite familiar, and then there are others that I had never heard or were less familiar. I guess they're all our covers in one way or another, but that's always nice too, to sort of rediscover old songs that maybe haven't been on everybody's album, but come out presently.
We do try to put our own taste to it. Our own working a tune can sometimes take a while, just to find your place in it and what you want to do with it. I find that it has to speak to me on some level for us to say, okay, that's good,
Yeah.
and that takes a while. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it comes quickly, but more often it'll take a while for me.
Sure. And I know usually you work those things out, or frequently artists will work those things out in live gigs. And of course, that hasn't been possible, although I guess last holiday season perhaps. But let's maybe switch gears and talk a little bit about that. I know you have done some regular gigging up in Boston and such. I've asked this question of a lot of artists, and we can kind of predict the answer. Sorry about that. Landline decides to jump in us here. Get rid of that. And what's your take on where we are now in Corona and how this has affected you as a live performer, and what you see going forward? I mean, it's a tough question, but what are your thoughts?
Well, it's a good timely answer. It's what's going on now. So my thoughts are it's affected me tremendously, as it has any musician that makes their living full-time in music, or even part-time, just anybody who's playing music. I mean, I was pretty active. I do a lot of work for seniors, and I have a swing band, and there's different projects that I'm plugged into that keep me busy enough, and keep me doing what I do. And this virus came along and just wiped us out. There's no work. I mean, I did a few outdoor concerts, but certainly not enough to say, this is what I'm doing all the time. So it's really, I think we're no different than anybody else that's lost work. There's a lot of people that are out of work, that are struggling, and it's just a tough time. I think in general, it's a very tough time.
Absolutely. And it's, there's some hope on the horizon with vaccines on the way, but that's still months away. And particularly, if you're doing work with seniors, obviously that's been curtailed and it's going to be the last thing probably to return, unfortunately. It's really, I'm not going to say devastating to the industry, but it's sure hurting. And if something doesn't come along soon to try to prop things up, it's going to have, continue to have impact. It's already having long-term impact, I'd say. That's not going anywhere. Let's hope we get things back soon. Meanwhile, people have turned, fans, I know myself as a music fan, and others have talked about how they're buying more music, and whether that's vinyl records or CDs. And there actually has been an upsurge, digital music, of course, as well. And maybe we could talk a little bit about Wailing City and what they're doing as a label. Have you ever recorded anything else with them?
This is my first recording.
Okay. Right. Because they're doing some great things with jazz music in particular, and they, move into other genres as well. But, they're doing their best to sort of reach an audience. It's a very sort of a niche audience, but it's definitely, I'd say something that can be successful, and it's not going to replace the income that people are losing, obviously, from gigs, but it definitely keeps the message alive and the word alive. What are your guys' plans for sort of distributing this release? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have very little. Actually, I have no involvement in any of the technical part of it, which I really love. I'm just the talent to show up and sing a few tunes. But we did have a wonderful meeting with Neil Weiss and also Ginny Shea, and it was kind of like a company meeting on this project. And I was personally very impressed with them, and just their feeling about how they're going to promote this. They do have some pretty good players, national players that do promote. Names and all that stuff I don't remember, but they have a very good plan of action with this. Ginny's done some wonderful work in getting us, some reviews so far. You had noticed at the beginning of the interview, one in Downbeat, which is very, very great. And we just got another one, and I think it's called All About Jazz. We got that today. And so, they're really working hard at getting this out so people can hear it and also buy it.
Absolutely. All About Jazz is a leading website that really is well known among jazz folks, and of course, Downbeat is the Bible of jazz music periodical. It's been around since I think the late 1940s. And
really, wow.
Yeah, I believe so. I know the 50s for sure. Every jazz musician wants a review in Downbeat, so that's definitely something. Kudos again on that. We'll do our best to, continue to get the word out. We always post these live chats after the fact, just so people want to come back and look at them. And I know I'm a DJ at WRIU at the University of Rhode Island station, and the jazz folks there, I do mainly Americana, folk, blues, that sort. But the morning guys, the jazz people, will definitely promote it. But it is still challenging to get the word out, about jazz music. And given that, we're a Newport organization, What's Up Noop, and we take a lot of pride in our coverage of the folk festival, the jazz festival, of course. We always try to do what we can do to get the word out, I guess is what we say. I know it's also available on iTunes and Amazon Music. Just want to point out, I'll mention this a couple times. The album is called Christmas Is December Duets, and I've listened to it. And it's excellent several times, and I strongly recommend it. It had great liner notes from Rex Reed, described as breathtakingly beautiful, and I would agree. And again, it's a real local project with local musicians and produced, as you said, by Steve Rizzo at his studio in Middletown or Portsmouth. And that makes it extra special, I think, for the holiday season. We're doing holiday gift guides and things like that to try to get the word about some of these local projects. What else, Jim, do you want to add? I know we're still waiting. I don't know if Mike's able to dial in. Maybe we'll get him back at a later date. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the album, about the artistic process that went into making it?
Well, one of the things that is really, really strong with this album is that Steve, Mike, and I are all friends. And so we had a really good time doing this, recording it, but also going out, having dinners, and just hanging, So it was a wonderful time especially during COVID, where there's really nothing to do. It was just such a kick for me to get in the car, drive to Newport, and hang out with these guys and do some tunes. I feel personally that the album has a lot of warmth because of that, because we're comfortable with each other. And I just hope people, get a chance to listen to it, even better to buy it. Ken, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We appreciate you coming on. We thank you for coming on. Once again, the album, got to figure out how to do this properly with my head. There we go. Mike Renzi and Jim Porcella. The album is Christmas Is, and it's Christmas Is December Duets, of course. And it's a great seasonal release. We're going to, as I said, we're going to continue. We'll write up a little story about it if people have some interest, and we'll have some web links in there. As mentioned, it's on Amazon and iTunes, as well as a physical release. You can get the digital release, the physical release, and it's a great local album. I strongly recommend it. It's a unique gift as well for those people that want to find something a little different. So I highly recommend it. And Jim, we thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll track Mike down at some point, but thanks for tuning in, and we appreciate it. All right. Thank you very much. Very much for joining us. Again, Ken Abrams, lifestyle editor at What's Up Noop. Really nice to talk to Jim Porcella today about his new release. We'll see you again soon.